Hello everybody, welcome to Vysh IAS. This is Pranay and we are back with the class of Tamilnadu history textbook part 1 of class 11th. So before I start the class, I request everybody to please follow us and like the video, share the video to your friends and leave a comment as well as subscribe to the channel if you are new. And also, you can reach us on the WhatsApp number provided here for any sort of test series and any other information. And you can also mail us. Okay, we shall start. We are going to study the chapter number 4 now, Emergence of States and Empire. So, till now, we have read about the changes happening in the northern part of India as well as some southern part of India too. But at this point of time, a huge empire kind of thing started to grow up. Before this, there was no such kind of kingship kind of a thing. But during the 3rd century to 6th century BC, during the 6th century to 3rd century BC, North India passed through major political and social changes. Okay, Buddhism and Jainism emerged as prominent religions having large number of followers. Okay, so we have read about the Buddhism and Jainism in the last class. Okay, referred to as Shramanic religions. Shramana in Sanskrit meaning a teacher basically. Okay, these two religion systems were antithetical to the mainstream Vedic religion. As we have read previously in the last class, these were opposing the Vedic religion. Okay, so the Vedic religion had these sacrificial rituals and all that, and these Buddhism and Jainism were anti to those Vedic religion. Okay, as a consequence of new beliefs and ideas propounded by the Jainism and Buddhism, the social order largely centered on Vedic rituals underwent a significant change. Okay, as people of many religious faiths were part of the emerging societies. Okay, on the political front, minor states and federations of clans were merged through conquest to create an empire during this period, resulting in large state ruled by Chakravartin or Ekarath, emperor or one supreme king. Previously, there were a lot of small kingships. Okay, but now it's like a country kind of a thing where a supreme king will be there. Under him, a lot of governors and ministers will be there who will be taking care of different businesses. Okay, the rise of a centralized empire in the Gangetic plains of present-day Bihar and eastern Uttar Pradesh changed the social, economic, and administrative fabric of the region. From this point of time, what we call the centralized governance started. Okay, the flat plains and the availability of plentiful of water from the perennial rivers such as Ganga and its many tributaries were among the favorable ecological conditions which promoted the rise of large state in this particular region. Rivers also acted as major waterways for the trade and travel. So previously, even in the last class itself, I have told you specifically about the importance of the water. Okay, so wherever the rivers are, mostly the settlements will be nearby the rivers because of the availability of water as well as the fertility of the land. The land will be very fertile for the sake of agriculture. Okay, so as the economy grows, automatically the political scenario also improves. Okay, Bimbisara, who was contemporary of Buddha, so Bimbisara was the contemporary of Buddha, started the process of empire building. So simply UPSC can ask like whether Ashoka was contemporary to Buddha or Bimbisara was contemporary to Buddha or Ajatasattu was contemporary to Buddha. You may need to select one or maybe 1 and 2 and that kind of a question. So every minute information is very important. Okay, please take a note of it. It was strengthened by his own son Ajatasattu and then by the Nandas. Okay, the empire reached its glory and peaked with the advent of the Mauryan Empire founded by the Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, the first 3 Mauryan emperors, Chandragupta, Bindusara and Ashoka, were the best known. After Ashoka, the Mauryan Empire went into decline. You see here, Here Bimbisara is there, here Bindusara is there. They both are different people. So don't get confused. Okay. Sources. So these kind of information, whatever we have read and whatever we'll be reading, so these kind of information will be produced from these kind of sources basically. Okay. So these kind of information are being procured from what kind of sources we will study now. Extracted from Buddhists, Jain texts, and from some Hindu works like Brahmanas. Okay. The Mahavamsa, the comprehensive historical chronicle in Pali from Sri Lanka, is an important additional source. Mahavamsa, a simple question will be there. Mahavamsa was written in Sanskrit. True or not? Okay. So these kind of questions are very important. The scattered information from these sources have been corroborated by the accounts of Greek historians who left their accounts about India following Alexander's campaign in northwestern part of the country. Okay. So these kind of information was corroborated, like compared and added basically. Okay. The archaeological finds in Gangetic regions give us solid proof about the nature of urban centers established in the region in course of time. Epigraphical evidence is scanty for the period. The most widely known are the edicts of Asoka, which are very important, which have been discovered in many parts of the country. In fact, the reconstruction of the Mauryan period to a great extent became possible only after the Brahmi script of the inscriptions at Sanchi was deciphered by James Prinsep in 1837. Okay, the Brahmi script was deciphered, and then only we were able to understand about the Mauryan Empire. We were able to reconstruct the Mauryan Empire. In the similar way, the Indus Valley civilization has its own script, but which has not been deciphered yet. Okay, so once it gets deciphered, we will be able to know what exactly was the situation at that point of time. Okay. Information about other edicts in other parts of the country also became available at that time. It must be remembered that these were the oldest historical artifacts found in India in the 19th century. These were oldest historical artifacts because IVC was found on a later date. Okay, Indus Valley civilization was found on a later date. So at that point of time in the 19th century, this was the earliest thing known in India basically. Okay, until archaeological excavation unearthed the Indus Valley towns of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro in 20th century. Okay, all the edicts began with a reference to a great king. Okay, thus spoke Devanampiya, means beloved of the gods, Piyadasi, of pleasing looks. So he was called as Devanampiya Piyadasi. Okay, which means beloved of the gods of pleasing looks. And the geographical spread of the edicts make it clear that this was a king who ruled over a vast empire. So it was even found in a lot of places in Tamil Nadu, as well as in the westernmost part of even nearby the Afghanistan. Okay, so you can understand the reachability of the Ashoka. Okay, Puranic and Buddhist texts referred as Chakravartin, named as Ashoka. Okay, even after cracking or deciphering the Brahmi script, Devanampiya Piyadasi, this was the words which were used very frequently, but at that point of time it was not considered with the Ashoka basically. Okay, but later so basically the name was not written here, so they were not able to understand who the king was actually. But later in couple of texts as well as in couple of places where it was mentioned as Devanampiya Ashoka. Okay, so these kind of things. So because of that kind of information, they were able to reconstruct it. As more edicts were deciphered, the decisive identification that Devanampiya Piyadasi was Asoka was made in 1915. Okay, one more edict were deciphered which referred to him as Devanampiya Ashoka. That's what we were saying. Okay, were reconstruction of Mauryan history possible. Okay, the rock inscription of Junagadh near Girnar in Gujarat. This was carved during the reign of Rudraman, the local ruler, and dates back to 130 to 150 CE. Okay, 130 to 150 CE. The thing which we are talking about is around 3rd century, 6th to 3rd century BCE. But this thing we are talking about 130 to 150 CE. Okay, it refers to Pushyagupta, the provincial governor of Emperor Chandragupta. Okay, so with this information, what we are able to understand is the extent of Mauryan Empire, which had expanded as far west as Gujarat. Okay, it shows that more than 4 centuries after his death, the name of Chandragupta was still well known. Okay, still well known. After almost 400 years also, his name was again used. Okay. Second source is the literary work. What kind of literary work? The play Mudra Rakshasa. Mudra Rakshasa. Okay. You need to remember the name, by Vishakha Datta. Okay. Mudra Rakshasa by Vishakha Datta was during the Gupta period, sometimes after 4th century CE. Till now we were talking about 1st century CE. Now we are talking about the 4th century CE. It narrates Chandragupta's accession to the throne of Magadha Empire. Okay, so after more or less around 800 years, okay, it narrates about the Chandragupta's accession to the throne of Magadha Empire and the exploits of his chief advisor Chanakya or Kautilya, by listing the strategies he used to counter an invasion against the Chandragupta. Okay, you just tell me what are the books written by Chanakya or Kautilya in the comments. Okay, this play is often cited as corroborative source since it supports the information gathered from other contemporary sources about the Chandragupta. Okay, now we will see the rise of Magadha under the Haryanka dynasty. Among the 16 Mahajanapadas, there were 16 as we have read. Kasi was initially very powerful. Okay, however, Kosala became dominant later. Okay, a power struggle broke out between Magadha, Kosala, Vrijji and Avanti. Okay, between these 4. Eventually, Magadha emerged as the dominant Mahajanapada and established the first Indian empire. Okay, the first known ruler of Magadha was Bimbisara of the Haryanka dynasty. Okay, Bimbisara of the Haryanka dynasty. He extended the territory of Magadhan empire by matrimonial alliances, okay, and conquests. So he he was getting married and he was giving off his sister to somebody else. By that he was just expanding his empire. Okay, by marrying off his sister to Prasenjit. Prasenjit was the ruler of Kosala. Okay, he received Kasi as dowry. Okay, so he married Prasenjit's sister. Okay, he also married the princesses of Licchavis and Madra. Okay, he maintained friend relations with Avanti but annexed Anga by military might. Thus, Magadha became a powerful and prominent power. During his reign, Bimbisara patronized various religious sects and their leaders. Okay, he had an encounter with the Buddha as well. Okay, here in this painting, the Bimbisara is shown to be meeting the Buddha. Okay, his son Ajatshatru ascended the throne by killing his father. Okay, he killed Bimbisara basically. Okay, and Ajatshatru is considered very powerful, and he was the actual maker of the kingdom. King Prasenjit immediately took back Kasi because it was given as dowry for his sister. Okay, because Ajatshatru killed Bimbisara, so he took back the Kasi, which he had handed over as dowry to Bimbisara. This led to military confrontation between Magadha and Kosala. Okay, the struggle lasted until Prasenjit was overthrown and died at Rajgriha, the capital of Magadha Empire. So more or less, Prasenjit, as soon as Prasenjit died, so the Kosala is also linked with the Magadha. Kosala was then annexed to the Magadha. Okay, Ajatshatru also fought and won the battle against the Licchavis. Licchavis were more or less from his mother's side. Okay, he defeated the Licchavis and the Mallas. Ajatshatru is also believed to have met Buddha in his lifetime. Okay, he is also believed to have met Buddha. Okay, by the time Ajatshatru died in 461 BCE, Magadha had become undisputedly the strongest power. Okay, so Ajatshatru played a very important role in making that. Okay, the Haryanka dynasty was succeeded by Shishunaga dynasty. Okay, Shishunaga, a viceroy of Benares, disposed the last Haryanka king and ascended the throne. Okay, the Shishunagas ruled for 50 years before the throne was usurped by the Mahapadmananda from the Nanda dynasty. What you need to do is you need to understand the chronology. Okay, you need to remember this chronology. Who came first? Okay, which dynasty was the founder, and who came in the next, and who came after that. Okay, you just make a note of this chronology, and it will be much more easier for you to revise. Okay, next we will see about the Nandas, the first empire builders of India, the Mahapadmananda, which we read just now. Okay, about 100 years after Ajatashatru's demise, the Nandas became the emperors of Magadha in 362 BCE. The first Nanda ruler was Mahapadma. Okay, he is called as Mahapadma Nanda. Okay, it is believed that he usurped the throne by murdering the last of the Shishunaga kings. Under the Nandas, the empire expanded considerably, and wealth and power of the Nandas became widely known and feared. Mahapadmananda was succeeded by his 8 sons. Okay, and they were together known as Navanandas, or the 9 Nandas. Okay, so Mahapadmananda 1 plus 8 sons. Okay, they were called as Navanandas. Okay, during the process of empire building, Nandas destroyed many Kshatriya clans. Okay, and subjugated Kshatriya ruled kingdoms, which had still retained a degree of autonomous authority, thus creating a centralized state. An inscription known as Hathi Gumfa, okay, Hathi Gumfa, elephant cave, from Udayagiri near Bhubaneswar, Odisha, records the aqueduct built by King Nanda, okay, 300 years earlier. This is also indicative of the geographical extent of the Nanda Empire. Okay, so though the Nandas were able administrators and had strengthened the Magadha Empire, they were not popular among the people. Okay, there were many reasons. Okay, so this is the inscription of the Hathi Gumpha. Okay, so at that point of time there was a Persian and Macedonian invasion. So we will look into it. So because of these invasions, there was a cultural combination, a mixed match of the cultural combinations. Okay, the period from the 6th century witnessed close cultural contact of northwest of India with Persia and Greece. It might be surprising to know that Gandhara and his adjoining regions on the Indus were part of Achaemenid Empire of Persia. Cyrus, the emperor of Persia, invaded India around 530 BCE and destroyed the city of Kapisa. Okay, according to the Greek historian Herodotus, Gandhara constituted the 20th and the richest satrapy of Achaemenid Empire. Okay, the region continued to be a part of Persian Empire till the invasion of Alexander the Great. The inscription of Darius I mention the presence of Persians in the Indus region and include the people of Gandhara, Harvati and Makka as subjects of the Achaemenid Empire. Okay, so automatically what it shows is the Achaemenidians were staying there. Okay, so there one of the important places, Takshila. Takshila is situated in Pakistan now, as of now, okay, the present day Pakistan. Between the 5th century and 4th century BC, it was part of Achaemenid Empire of Persia. Okay, because of its strategic location on the trade route between east and the west, it emerged as an important center for learning and culture. Okay, students came from far and wide to Takshila in search of knowledge. Okay, the city was brought to light by excavation carried out in 1940s by Sir John Marshall. Takshila is considered one of the greatest intellectual achievements of any ancient civilization. As you have read the Nalanda University, the Takshila University, okay, Takshila was that important at that point of time. Okay, in our national anthem also we specifically mention. Okay, Panini seems to have compiled his well-known work Astadhyayi here. Okay, so Astadhyayi wrote, Astadhyayi was written by Panini. Okay, remember, and this was written in Takshashila, not written, compiled basically. It was written, in a lot of places, and it was it is said like it took a lot of time. Okay, impact of Persian contact. As the northwestern part of India came under the control of Persian Empire from about middle of the 6th century BC, the region became a center of confluence of Persian and Indian culture. That's what we said. The Persian contact left its impact on art, architecture, economy, and administration of ancient India. So automatically, the lifestyle changes, the art changes, the architecture automatically gets influenced. Economy also has a lot of impact because of imports and export changes, and automatically the administration also changes because of the influence. Okay, the cultural impact was felt most in the Gandhara region. Okay, the most significant impact was the development of the Kharoshthi script, okay, used in northwestern part of India. So this Kharoshthi script was even used by Ashoka, okay, for his inscriptions in a lot of places in the northwestern part of India. Okay, it is used by Ashoka in his inscriptions in the Gandhara region. The Kharoshthi script was derived from Aramaic, used widely in the Achaemenid Empire of Persia. Okay, so this is the Kharoshthi script. So this is written from right to left, similar to Aramaic. Okay, Persian sigloi, a silver coin, is an imitation from this region. The earliest coins in India are traced to period of the Mahajanapadas. The Indian word for coin, kharsa, is of Persian origin. Okay, the coin might have been inspired from the Persian coins. The existence of coins in that period suggests trade links between India and Persia. Okay, the Ashokan edicts might have inspired from the edicts of Achaemenid king Darius. Okay, so in Ashokan this thing, it is called as lipi, whereas Iranian term is called as dipi. Okay, these are the coins. The Mauryan art and architecture shows traces of Persian influence. That's what we read. Okay, Mauryan columns of Ashokan pillar are similar to the columns found in Achaemenid Empire. Okay, the bell-shaped capital of the columns, this thing. Okay, especially the lion capital of Sarnath pillar and the bell capital of Rampurwal pillar show resemblance to designs found in Achaemenid columns. Okay, so this shows the the influence of the cross cultures. Okay, similarly, the pillared remains of the palace in Patliputra display a remarkable similarity to the pillared hall in Achaemenid capital. Okay, however, the craftsmen, though inspired by the Persian art and architecture, gave a definite Indian character to their work. Okay, they were unique itself. Okay, so that's all for today. Then we will see about the Alexander's invasion. Then we will see about the Mauryan Empire in detail, specifically about the kings and their influences and the polity which they followed, what kind of political system they had, and we will see more in the next class. Okay, and that's all for today. And before leaving, I request you to please like the video and please leave a comment and please share it to your friends. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe for the daily updates. Thank you and have a great day.